Tourism has become the largest growing industry since 2003, boasting an annual growth rate of 7.4%. According to the World Trade Organization, tourism contributed up to 40% of GDP for one-third of developing countries in 2010 alone. As international tourist arrivals grow consistently every year, it has also inevitably become a disruptive force to local livelihoods, cultures, and environments. In response, the 1980s saw a shift towards sustainable tourism, a model that accounts for its present and future socio-economic and environmental impacts. One popular form of sustainable tourism is community-based tourism, or CBT. The model emerged in the mid-1990s when the World Bank and UN started small-scale community development projects in developing countries, and has since evolved into a model that is eventually managed and owned by and for the community. But why are travelers flocking to CBTs? And just how sustainable are they? To answer this, we're joined by our local tour guide from Action on Poverty, an international NGO that connects sponsors with developing communities across Africa, Asia, and the Pacific.
So my name is Huyên. CBT is a model called community-based tourism. Actually, it requires the involvement of the local, and it's not just someone who have money and invest in and then manage the model called the community. They involve in managing and also owning the model. Yeah.
Our journey begins in the district of Dabac in Hua Binh province, a region surrounded by lush greenery and winding valleys. In 2017, Dabac's 3 ethnic minority villages partnered with Australian NGO Action on Poverty, or AOP, to establish a CBT program. Sung Village, home to 73 families belonging to the Zhao Tian ethnic group, is located 120 kilometers away from the capital of Vietnam. Locals make a living off farming livestock and making herbal medicines. Made from dried leaves in the greenhouse, these household medicines were previously known only by a handful of locals who have been to Sung Village. With the arrival of international tourists, the CBT model creates new jobs such as tour guides who possess the local knowledge to showcase the village's specialty to travelers from Australia, France, and the UK. And these alternative income streams also strengthen existing livelihoods by making them sustainable in the long run, thereby addressing one of the UN SDGs, decent work and economic growth.
Like the approach of AOP is to create another livelihood for local people, and based on all the resources of the local, and also community empowerment.
But how does AOP help to uplift these villages' poverty status without lending too much support? One form of this economic empowerment that Ms. Huyên refers to concerns the implementation of a village savings and loans association.
So for every transaction, is recorded here. How much you have buy, how much you have contributed, it's also recorded here.
It's from AOP.
Yes, we designed.
Unlike traditional microfinance institutions or banks, VSLAs do not stress credit but rather savings to improve household cash flow management. With a proper borrowing structure, VSLAs avoid the risk of indebtedness associated with loans and are highly effective for even the poorest households in the community. Poorer families who do not offer homestays now have the capital to send their children to school, buy scooters, and invest in farming equipment such as fish nets and bait. Middle income and higher families are now more confident to take on dual income roles, work in other villages as tour guides, and expand their businesses. These cumulative benefits ensure that everyone is working to live on more than just $2.15 a day, addressing another SDG target under no poverty by 2030. CBTs are also responsible for enacting social change. After all, empowerment is a platform for people to realize their full potential. Consider the VSLA Community Board in Sung Village. AOP's microfinance programs strive to break gender barriers by engaging females, who are less likely to obtain finance from state banks to start their own enterprise. This effort aligns with the broader global commitment to achieving SDG 5 gender equality. Elsewhere in Da Bia village, the authentic art cultural performances inherent to the Muang A2 community has flourished with the monthly arrival of visitors abroad. This traditional dance performance encourages generations of villagers to practice these items, instilling a sense of pride similar to those felt by some villagers' tour guide. If anything, the collective spillover effects of CBT reinforce the communal ownership of the model itself. So, to answer the original question, what makes CBTs an effective sustainable tourism model? It prioritizes the immeasurables, community empowerment, tradition, quality of life, more than the measurables, like tourist numbers and returns on investment. With less emphasis on quantitative metrics, it enriches the authenticity of the guest experience and motivates the host to continue to improve the program's hospitality, a win-win for both sides. So how else can we tourists contribute more to sustainable tourism? Will a donation to the organization in charge be more effective than to the village itself in the long run? What criteria does AOP look at when selecting a village to start a CBT program in? And why does AOP still consider itself a charity rather than a social enterprise? Till our next trip in Vietnam.